Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Come on in, come on in. Please come on in. Like, share, subscribe. Come on in. I just wanted to check in, conversate for a little bit. I've been sick and shut in, so I haven't been doing content lately, but I have been in the bushes on different YouTube platforms, listening in on conversations. And so I said, well, hey, let's let me go live on the big channel. Let me go live on the big channel and tap in with the people. How y'all doing? Let me know how you are. Well, how you are. How y'all doing? Hopefully feeling better than me. I am feeling a little better. Just been trying to conserve my voice. What's up, Brat Baby? Hey, Ariane. Hello. How y'all doing? How are y'all? Come on in. I just wanted to catch up. I don't know how long I'm going to be in here. We'll see how it goes. I rested up some and I said, listen, I got time today, cuz. So I want to come out here and go live and catch in with you all. Hey, Miss Yolanda. Yes, I'm feeling better, child. I had to take a few days to get right. I struggled through the last live, but I got through, so I didn't want to put any strain. I think I had came down with bronchitis. So I think I'm kind of on the end of the recovery part. So I'm feeling better. So we'll see how the live go tonight. How y'all doing? How are y'all? How are you all feeling? Hey, PM, what's up? What's up? How y'all feeling? I had some things on my mind. I was like, let me go live. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, child. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about our favorite mother, our favorite mother that in any given minute is residing in any state in America. So normally or lately, I've been talking about her on my other channel, but I wanted to talk about this, and I said, well, we can use her as a comparison. I saw someone do a post talking about motherhood. It was, I don't know if y'all familiar with the Real Talk with Yanni. I tagged her in my title. She's someone I've been following for some years. Very smart, beautiful young lady. She's in her 30s. I'd say early to mid 30s. And I guess I would call her like I don't know. I think you can categorize her as a boss chick, a woman that's making boss moves, that's moving on her own time, that's not locked down. She's not locked down with anything. She can kind of come and go as she pleases. She's single, no children, just living the life, making her coin, just getting to it, looking beautiful, glowing, skin glowing. But like I said, she don't have any children. So that's where my title come in, Motherhood or Not, because she mentioned some things about that. And I think a lot of times people with no kids, and some of you all in here, if you've experienced it, if you don't have children or know people who don't have children, sometimes people who don't have children, and it happened for men too, will get the side eye, especially when you reach a certain age and people learn you don't have a child. And I've seen it happen, with women, and I've heard, been a part of conversations where the same thing happens, with men when they're like, I would say, so sometimes have y'all seen like, or ladies, let me know if, say, you've come across or met a man and he's like 45. We're going to say 45, and you learn he's never been married and he has no children. What is your initial thought when you think that? 45, we even take it up to 50. 50, child. He's 50. He never been married, no kids. 50, never been married, no kids. Do you start wondering what's going on? What's going on? Why are these the red flags? And so I know that men will do that with women too. So I wanted to talk about that because Yanni kind of put that question out there because, like I said, she doesn't have children and she's in her 30s. And so she was like, but our community, the Black community, makes like the most like single mothers. So you get the side eyes, like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. You get the side eye when out here a single mama doing it, getting to it by yourself. People wonder, well, where the daddy at? What's going on? But then you got the ladies who are in their 30s getting to it and they don't have any children. They're still single, not married. And then you got some people, men a lot of times kind of giving the woman a side eye, like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with you? Why you ain't got no man? Why you ain't got no children? So it's just like, which one? What you want? You want me to be a baby mama? Like, what you want? What you want? What you want? These are the questions I have. It was on my mind. And I said, well, let me go live. Peora says, hi, what country and state you from? I'm from New Jersey. I am from California. I live in Georgia, but I am from Northern California, the Bay Area. PM said I was sick, but I'm better with a steroid and antibiotic. Happy to hear that. I haven't taken a steroid yet. With what I have, my husband had bronchitis first. He was prescribed a steroid a couple weeks back. And I was telling that man, you got me sick. And he was like, no. Today, I rolled back up on him, through text while he was at work, and said, see, I told you so. Sent all my documentation, receipts. Y'all know I get to researching. I'm the internet doctor. I will diagnose you, your mama, me, everybody. And so, yeah, I got bronchitis from the mister. Let me see. Ariane says, let's run up the likes. It's free in here. Thank you, Ariane. Yes, come on in here. Hit the like button. Brad said, I don't judge women for not having a child. It's just not the life I wanted. Brad, so let's talk about it. Why is it the life you not wanted? Because so Yanni did a post. I'm going to go, let me go to her channel. And I had just saw it when I woke up from napping and on my community post on her wall. So I'm going to read what she wrote, y'all. So her channel is Real Talk with Yanni. Hopefully, I don't know if I got it right in my title. Hopefully, I got it right. But her channel is Real Talk with Yanni. So she wrote, she says, I went to a predominantly white school, but was surrounded by a group of Black girls, and the majority of them are single mothers. The majority of my cousins in my family of my generation are single mothers. Black motherhood seems traumatizing AF. Don't get me started on the high maternal mortality rates. Baby fever isn't an issue when you see the BS in our community. This ish is traumatizing. I come from a two-parent household, but when you look outside of your environment and you look into the world, you see your reality. You realize you may not be able to recreate what your parents were able to provide. So she posts, it amazes me that the Black community creates a lot of single mothers, yet it's the same community that thinks it's a red flag for a woman who is 30 plus with no children. Seeing single mothers struggle growing up turned me off from motherhood. Let's talk about it. So I know exactly what she's saying. For me, it didn't turn me off from motherhood, seeing the single mothers, because from my generation, y'all, I'm the only one in my generation that's married. That did it like y'all, child, what we grew up seeing on TV, with my family. Because people in my family, with my aunts, they weren't married like that. So they was having kids, but they were doing it out of wedlock. So the way my life looks, it wasn't because of an example I seen growing up, within my family. It was really me knowing that it was a possibility to be married and have children. You see what I'm saying? I knew it was a possibility because I saw, for one, I was a child. I didn't like going outside a lot. I liked to just sit in the house and just watch TV. I was that child. I don't want to go outside. It's too damn. Now, I am from California, but child, was getting cold out there too. I didn't like being out in the element like that. I wanted to be in the house watching my shows, eating some food, playing with my baby dolls. I was that kind of girl. So I watched a lot of television shows. So I grew up watching like Just the 10 of Us, Full House, Family Matters, Cosby shows, just a lot of family shows. Y'all know them shows that was on TV a lot. I watched those shows. So when I would watch those shows and I would pay attention to the dynamics of the family, like the nuclear family, mother, father, children. And for a small part of my life, I had a stepfather, and that was probably up until maybe like that was probably from the time I was 3 to maybe 14. So my household, out of like everyone else's household, was like the only one that had like a man in the house, where you had that mother father dynamic, but it just wasn't my biological father. It was my brother's father, not me and my sister's father. So I had a dad in my family, and I'm going to get through the comments. Y'all continue to drop the comments, but let me just put this out there while it's on my mind, because y'all know I'm sick and shut in. So I'm trying to let it, come off my mind. So I had a father figure in the home, but it wasn't my dad. Like, it was my stepdad, and he was a dad to me like a dad would be. Loved him, but it wasn't my dad, and I knew that. So I paid attention to just how families looked, I guess, on television, when it was like the traditional nuclear family where there was a mother, father married, and then together they created a family. So that's where I got noticed that, hey, this is another way of doing things. So then my childhood best friend, that was how her family looked. Mother, father, and they had 2 kids, 2 girls, my friend and her younger sister. So for me, looking at single motherhood didn't have me to say, hey, I don't want any parts with children. It made me really hone in to how I could create a life for myself where I was less likely to be doing it by myself, if that makes sense. So that's how I perceive, like, the single motherhood and its impacts. Like, I really paid attention to it and took notice of it, like Yanni did. But in the reverse, I said, hey, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it this way, versus F that, I'm just not gonna do it at all, because it's not gonna work. I just had a different mindset as I approached it. So I'll continue to go through the comments. Hamdi says, oh, she good to see you, sis. I hope you feel better soon. Elderberries are awesome during the winter. We highly recommend echinacea tea. Thank you for that, Hamdi. Brad says, I would say he will not settle down, scared of commitment, stuck in ways, and selfish. So, but okay, so Brat baby, for you, I don't know if you're a woman or not, but so is it fair for someone to have that same thought for a woman who don't have any of all of that you said, like we said, children, marriage? So, because there are men out here who are thinking the same way about a woman, just as what you say you would think about a man. So is it a double standard? Does it not run true for a woman when she don't have the man and the children? I don't know, y'all. I'm just asking questions because I've heard it. I've heard these conversations. I've heard men make comments about a woman when she don't have. I remember telling someone about my sister before, and he was like, oh, what's wrong with her? Because she's single, no kids. And, at the time during that conversation, my sister was maybe like 40 at the time. And that was his thought, like, oh, what's wrong with her? But then I've been in conversations with women, and we're talking about a man, and we learned a man 50 and plus, and, we having conversation like, well, what's going on? So it happens. PM says, yes, I do want to know what's wrong if a man is single, because men have the pics of the litter, so to speak. I do believe that men are doing the choosing, whereas women are being selected. I believe that men choose, women accept. So PM, I was just having a conversation, I think, with my mom earlier. I feel like when it comes to dating, family, marriage, men have the advantage more so than women, because men are choosing. They're asking for a woman's hand in marriage. They're controlling that. There are so many women who desire to get married, but they're waiting to be chosen because what the Bible says, a man to find a good thing, a man to find a wife finds a good thing. It's not in the reverse for that woman to go out seeking. It's the man that seeks out you, and you're there to accept or not. So um, so when you do see men that are 50s plus and don't have the children, the wife, men, like, fellas, why is that? Because remember, you got a lot of women who's wanting these very things, children, husbands, but they're waiting on the man to choose them. So men, why are you hesitant on choosing? That's the question. Handy says, Brat Baby, my mom would say that God sometimes doesn't want right marriage for some people, and that's okay, or children for that matter. And to be honest, it can be a blessing in disguise. Um, it can be a blessing in disguise because God is protecting. So yes, I've heard some people say, "Hey, everyone's not meant to be married." Everybody wasn't here to be married. So I have heard, being a part of those conversations. Uh, I believe that we're created to. I don't believe that humans or we as people are created to be alone. So I think it's natural for a woman to yearn, to want to be in a relationship, to want to be married, to want to be with child, all of that. I don't side eye a woman for wanting those things because I feel like it's the norm. It's how we were created. That's why, we bear children. That's why women and men have to, requires both, to create life, because I believe that we were created here for one another. But I do believe that you have some people who weren't meant to be here for the sake of procreating and bringing life. But I don't feel like that's the vast majority. I feel like those are select chosen. But I think for the majority of us, I think we were created to be here to create life and to make a life with one another. And there are so many people who are choosing to just be off to themselves and not commingle their life with another person for various reasons. Uh, And those are reasons, that we can discuss, tonight on this live. But there are a lot of people, when I look in comments, where women will say, "Oh, I'm so glad I'm by myself. I don't have that headache. I don't have to do this or that." And I think people are starting to more and more become more and more content with just being alone, being by themselves, not having someone else to think about as they're navigating through life, whether it's children or even a partner. Some women are opting to just even do parenting by themselves. They don't want the responsibility of just another life, in particular another adult. So they're like, forget it, I'm just going to be over here by myself. And then on the flip side, I feel like, I was just telling someone today, I personally feel like as time goes on and men and women are more and more separating themselves from one another, the obesity rates just in particular with women, I feel like that number is going to go up. And the reason why I say that's going to go up is because right now there is a correlation. Like, okay, so let's just say the Black community. Our obesity rate is higher than any other community, any other group of people, all of that. But at the same time, our group of people are the group of people that's least married as well. Black women, like, we lead, in the area when it comes to overweight and obesity. And that also has an impact on just your dating experience and your options. Typically, it just, and I've heard a lot of women who've lost weight talk about it. They've noticed the change in their dating options when they're smaller, or when they've lost weight versus when they had the weight on them. So I think that the more a woman is choosing to stay single, the more she is going to pay attention. She's going to pay less. She's likely to pay less attention to her weight and aesthetic, because in her mind, she's like, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for whatever reason. How she looks, it doesn't matter. And then also, it is a real thing for women men may do it too, but I'm more in conversation with women to emotionally eat, which means that when we're going through the motions, when we feel in a certain way, feeling something, a lot of women will eat. A lot of women will eat. A lot of women who are single today, guess what they do in their pastime? They eat. Whether they're eating by themselves, eating with their girlfriends, taking these trips, it's eating. Listen, when ladies want to get out, it's about, y'all, what we going to eat, what restaurant we going to. It is like, that's just what we do. I am a smaller frame woman, and when I had that season, probably before the pandemic, when I did it more with gathering the ladies and getting together and things like that, it was centered around food. I'm just happen to be someone who's of a smaller frame just because of just my lifestyle and how I take care of myself. But more often than not, around the table, whether it's around the table I'm at or around other tables, women are bigger. They're bigger. Women like to socialize, eat, but it's an emotional thing. So many women I've heard talk about, I emotionally eat. So I feel like as time goes on and women start to move themselves further and further away from just wanting to be in a relationship, guess what? It's going to be more and more eating. It is going to be more and more eating because women now, they're going to be in thought on, okay, the reasons as to why they're still single, how they're feeling about the fact that they're still single. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to prompt emotion and the eating. I've noticed that when it comes to food and women's relationship with food, when they're going through it, they're either going to eat or they're not. And what I've been able to tell is the women who have weight issues, who have a lot of weight on them, guess what? They fare on the side of, oh, okay, when I'm going through the emotions, I eat. Versus a woman, say, I'm smaller. When I'm going through the motions, I don't eat. I don't have an appetite. So it's either one way or the other that you are going to respond to food. So that's why I think it's important for us to where we have to be cognizant on how we respond to stress in our lives. And if how we're currently responding is in a healthy way. We have to find ways to where it's like, okay, when we're going through it, how can we de-stress, but in a way to where it's not taking a hit on our bodies? If you normally find yourself eating when you're going through it, okay, what else can I do when I'm going through it other than eat? Like, what else can I do? What else can I do that's not going to affect how I'm feeling, or how I'm looking? What else can I do? So I think it's important for us to try to figure that out. Let me see. Brat Baby said, I just felt like I was always meant to be a mom and wife. I don't like to think of drink or party. So being in the home is more fulfilling to me. I'm 29. So yeah, I mean, like you, Brad, I was never into with the drink, the partying or whatever. I got married at a young age. I got married at 23. I got married at 23. I turned 24 later that month. Got married at 23 and had my first of 3 children at 24. So yeah, I did things really early. So like I was also not that one to want to be outside like that. So my personality was, of that. I didn't want to be outside like that. Now I wasn't one to say, oh, I want to have a bunch of kids, but I knew I was good for 1, maybe 2, but child ended up being 3. The Lord had other plans. So I have three beautiful children, but I knew I wanted a family. And I knew that I wanted my children to be by my husband. I wanted them to have the same father. Like there were things that I knew going into motherhood. And it was because of the thoughts that I was having as a child, because of just what I was seeing within my community, looking at how most of the families around me or within my community, the children within the home had different fathers. And that was not only with my family, but that was with, the families of other, just other people within the community, as far as with friends of my mom, my parents, or my aunts. Like it was just within my community, living in California, in the Bay Area. So this is just going that far back. That was what the families looked like. It was just blended, mixed. It wasn't a household where there was a mother and father and all the children were created by the mother and the father. No, it was like usually a mama and a father to maybe one of the kids in the house, maybe one of the kids in the house, and maybe that man wasn't even the father to any of the kids in the house. So I knew that that's not what I wanted. But what I was tasked to do and what I had to figure out on my own was how to achieve what it was that I wanted as far as how I wanted my family to look, because it didn't come from like guidance from like anyone, conversations or anything. It was me just trying to just figure it out. And I think that's what a lot of us are out here doing. We're just trying to, we just out here, child, trying to figure it out. We are out here on a wing and a prayer, just trying to figure it out. And I think most of us do figure it out, but there's just some, bumps in the roads that we come into as we try to figure things out, figure this thing out called life, and that's okay. And I think what it comes down to, just as we fall, is just recognizing where maybe there was a mistake made, and learning from it. So therefore, you're not becoming a repeat offender. So to me, an example of what a repeat offender would be is, say, let's just say some of you may be familiar with the content creator Strong Mommy Chrissy. She's a mom of, child, I think she got about 9 kids, about between 7 or 8 men. That would be what I would call a repeat offender, because, okay, she has many kids by many men. So it wasn't like, okay, she did it once or twice and then learned from that, maybe got married, and then the rest of the 6, 7 kids came from, say, the husband. That wasn't the story. The story is, hey, yeah, I was just out here just, I don't, it's so funny because I recently was hearing her talk, and she said, she has a teenage daughter right now. And like many parents of teenagers, folks, you be going through it. And her daughter, her oldest daughter, Cadence, is like, going through it as a teenager. And people are kind of ridiculing, looking at Chrissy now like, well, child, you her mama. Look what she has to learn from. And her words were, well, I tell her I wasn't out here just spreading it wide open, doing whatever with everybody, whatever. But when you look at her track record and you see the number of children she has, and by the number of men, the average person's initial thought would be like, well, no, it seems like that is what was happening. That is what was happening, because there's no time in your timeline where it shows that, okay, you were doing this, that, and the third and learning from it. We see you just every couple of years just do it over and over again. You see what I'm saying? So that's when I talk about as far as with learning from things that happen. So now, out of all them kids, the oldest one is now probably like 16. She's in high school. And she got her little TikTok, and she been doing some stuff on TikTok and some things that her mom's not happy with. But a lot of people are looking at Chrissy like, well, the time has come where now you have to sit in the example you've shown. Like here's the thing. I think so often we'll get caught up in just living our lives and not really thinking about, as we're living our lives, how it looks to those who we have looking up to us. So that's going to be your children, for those of you who are parents. So the way now, as I'm looking at this situation and just looking at Chrissy live and just looking at, as her, I've been following her for years. I personally, I like her personality. I like Chrissy. I think she does the best she can with her situation, by her children. But I'm just calling the thing a thing. So, as she's going through it with her daughter right now, and just me on the outside just evaluating everything, she's now having to sit in the decision she's made, because her baby is no longer a baby anymore. Her oldest baby is no longer a baby anymore. She's growing into a young woman. So now this young woman is trying to explore and wanting to experiment and do some things. And the example she's had was her mother. And she knows at this age, she knows how children are made. She's met the different men that her mother has encountered over the years. Because what I've come to learn about Chrissy, as I've been watching her for many years, is that I feel like every relationship she gets in, her thought is, okay, it's okay to have a baby with this person. because all these people that she's had kids with, like at some point, like she had some type of relationship with him. So it's like, okay, so it's a thought process. Okay, if I'm in a relationship with you, we can have a baby, because that's the base. That, listen, I've been trying to understand since I came to learn who she was on the internet about 6-7 years ago. So that's what I came up with. Okay, she's someone, when she get her boyfriend and they get to doing a do, she's not using protection, or she's feeling like, okay, let's go half on a baby. But my thought is, you do not have to have a baby with everybody you get in a relationship. Y'all see what I'm saying? Like, think about it, any of you who are listening. How many people have you been in a relationship with? And then of all those people, did you have a child with them? Where some of those experiences was just that you were like, hey, I'm just trying to date. So let me finish getting back through these comments. But that's what I wonder with that. So now fast forward, child. She got a teenager. So now all them decisions that she made, she got to sit in it. Because now it's just like she got to really sit and think about the life she's created, the example that she's been for her babies, her children, her oldest daughter. And now she's in the hot seat. What happened to what you got some splaining to do. She has to try to make sense of it or try to explain it away. And the best that she was able to come up with when I was listening to her recently was, well, I wasn't out here doing this. And it's just like, but your lifestyle and the decisions you made is to the contrary of what you saying you were not out here doing. Y'all see what I'm saying? The math not mathing, because what you saying you wasn't doing, the way your life looks, that's exactly what you were doing. That, y'all let me know if you understand. At some point, y'all, we got to be accountable, and those things that we do, they come back on us, and we got to speak to them. We got to step to the front of the congregation. Brad Baby said, it's hard, selfish work, but fulfilling. All children deserve a loving mother and father. Handy said, you're most welcome. You're so right. Every child deserves that. Brad Baby says, well, if the women are spending their early 20s drinking and partying, then wants to find a man to give her a baby before she turns 30 is selfish. She didn't put the work in, so to speak. Ilana said, I agree. Well said, Sheik. Thank you, ma'am. Great point. Brad Baby said, that makes me sad. Humans are not meant to be alone. Yeah, that's my thought. Cancer 66. What's up? What's up? PM says, I am an emotional eater. So PM, I've found the people that I've encountered over the years, most of the time when I'm in conversations with women, they'll talk, and I learned that they are emotional eaters. And I honestly think that it's not even something really that you choose. It's just you come to learn how you handle emotion. Now, I don't think someone's sitting, or I'm sitting on my bed and I'm saying I'm going to choose to be emotional eater. I think what happens is that you eventually start to take notice of how you handle things when you're going, when the going gets tough. So then when you take notice of how you're handling things, now it's just like, okay, how is that impacting me? Is that making me any better off with how I'm handling things? You see, so it's more so just ownership, accountability, being self-aware. It's being self-aware. So when you're self-aware and you say, you know what, this is how I handle my emotions, then that puts that onus and that responsibility on you to say, okay, well, I got to figure out another way, because this is what I've been doing. And it's not been having me to look and feel my very best. It's actually making me feel even worse, because that's what happens. It makes you feel worse. So guess what? You're going to eat more. You're going to eat more. So it's like this cycle that you're in. So when we stop to acknowledge how we're handling certain things, and we acknowledge of whether or not it's good or not, then the next step is to be, okay, well, it's like the first step in the AAA, you acknowledge that there is an issue, there is a problem. And then we work towards, okay, what's going to be our solution? Because this can't continue to work. Listen, Linda. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. We cannot do that. And this is what many of us are doing when it comes to just how we moving out here in these streets. when it comes to just our lives, with how we taking care of ourselves, how we handling our business. We just doing the same toxic things over and over again, and we're not winning. We're not winning. So back to the real Yanni, she's taking notice of just people within our community doing just that. So for her, she said, well, it looks like, in large numbers, this is what people are doing. This is the result. This is the likelihood. So it sounds like she's like me, more like a statistics type person. So she's saying, you know what? I'm just going to sit that out. Whereas me, even though I took notice of all of that in inventory, I'm the type of person, I like numbers, I like statistics, because I like the challenge of going against what the odds are. So if the odds are against me in something, like it was against me when I was the product of like a teen parent. My mom had me at 16. So based off statistics, I should have been like a teen parent. So for me, it has me to say, you know what? Stats says this is a likelihood, because that's all it is. It's just making you aware. That's why I like stats, because it's just bringing awareness to a situation. It's not saying anything is matter of fact. It's bringing just awareness. And when you're aware, that's when we start to move and do differently and be better, because we become aware. If you are not aware, it's almost like if you don't know there's a problem, how can you fix it? Again, it's back to being aware. I believe in being aware. So I like stats because it has me to be aware of the circumstances in my environment. So therefore, I know, hey, I got to put that work in. So therefore, I won't become a part of that if that's not what I want to be a part of. You see what I'm saying? So I knew, like, okay, stats show that I wouldn't get a college education. I wouldn't get married. I wouldn't have children within a marriage. Like, these stats show that. But I have the ability, just like each and every one of you, we all do. I have the ability to put the work in, to work against that, to do something different so I can yield a different result. So it's again, I always say it's mental. It's how we approach the situation. So Yanni and I both looked at, say, the same information, but approached it differently. You see what I'm saying? She approached it from very safe, like, I'm just going to stop, not do it at all. Versus I approached it from, okay, I see this is what the odds are, what the stats says, but I'm going to do what I can to go against that. That is how I addressed the matter and handled that same situation. Again, it's in the mind. It's how you approach it, No way is better than the other. It's just, I'm just showing an example of how you can approach a situation, put thought into it, because Yanni and I both are examples of people who gave thought to what was going on in our environment. And I think a lot of the people who fell into the numbers and just was a repeat, they didn't really sit and give thought. It's just, they just moving like, hey, this is just what you do. This is how many of you just out here moving like, this is just what you do. You find you somebody, you lay up with them, you get pregnant, you don't protect, this is just what you do. And so you don't have, it's moving with intent. If I were to have a book entitled something, it would be centered around moving with intent. Because I'm quick to say I ain't no special or no better than the next person. But I will say that I'm always moving with intent, meaning that I put thought into everything that I do. I don't have the personality to be very knee-jerk to just react. I'm always thinking. It comes natural for me. For some of you, it may not be so natural, and some may have to practice it. And that's fine. Because sometimes we'll be so knee-jerk and just react, and we don't get the result we want because we done got in our feelings and like we done ate up all the donuts and the cupcake. We just got emotional. We didn't think. So because I'm so always like in my head the way that I am, I feel like it's protected me in a lot of ways throughout life. And so I say, I'm the first to say, I'm no better, I'm no different, I'm no special than the next person, but I will say I move with intent. And intent meaning that I give thought into everything that I do. whether it be the quality of person that I know I want to date, or the type of man that I want around my children. You see what I'm saying? You're just putting thought into it. You're putting thought into it. And even though what I'm saying may sound very basic, so many people don't do it. So it's so many people who just out here moving all willy-nilly like, and they not thinking like that. They not thinking about what kind of background this person have, this man have, or this woman have that I'm about to have around my children. They ain't thinking about that. They just in the moment. They in the moment. And when you get in the moment, that's when them stats, them numbers, statistics start statisticking when you get in that moment. Those stats come about when people aren't intentional. That's when the stats come. When people aren't intentional, the non-intentional people, those gonna always be the bigger numbers than the intentional. The small numbers is those intentional people. Those big numbers, that's the non-intentionals. Brat Baby said, I think it's also how we learn to cope. My grandma struggles with it because as a child, when she was sad, her mother would make her something to eat to cheer her up. Yes, you become a product of your environment, Brat Baby. How many of you grew up in environments to where you couldn't get down from the table unless you ate all your food? I know that was like the environment that I grew up in, but I didn't raise my children that way. I enjoyed food a lot as a kid. So remember, I said I didn't go outside. I want to sit in the house, watch my shows. I want to eat. The thing that worked in my favor as when it came to my body growing up with those type of habits is that I grew up in a time, I'm an 80s baby, where we played sports and where parents would make us, like my mom would make me go outside. So sometimes if I wasn't sitting in front of the TV and she seen me just in a room in an environment with adults, I would be forced to go outside. Her words would be, go outside, play, and be a kid. Those would be the words. So I would be forced to go outside. So I got exercise in a way that a lot of kids didn't, as far as when I did have to go outside. I did play sports. I did want to play softball, so I did willingly do that. So pretty much for most of my childhood up until high school, I played softball. So I like to eat, but I was also very active, so it balanced out. Once I got middle school, going to high school, food stopped being as much of an interest. I gained other interests, talking on the phone, boys, whatever. So food stopped being an interest. Next thing you know, child, I was 102 pounds when I graduated high school. I became a really tiny thing. My interest changed. So product of your environment does make a difference. And a lot of times that's where, that emotional eating come from, is where when people are going through it, a lot of times people want to soothe you. Here, let me take you and get you some ice cream. Let me go. You'll do that with your children. Like, I really don't recall, as I've been raising my kids, my children are 19, 16, and 14. I do not recall when any of them were going through anything emotionally, I offered to soothe them with something with food. I don't have a memory of doing that. But I don't have a memory of my mama, my parents doing that with me either. So it could be a learned thing. It could be a learned thing. Hamdi says the daughter is the product of a mom. She got a heel chic. Yep. PM says, I totally get it. I didn't like anyone over my child as a stepdad. So I stayed single until I raised my child, and still single. I get that. I've said it multiple times, that if I found myself single, dating, like, it's a good chance that I would end up being someone like that, to where it'll go two ways. It would be I date and it's outside of the house and they just never see my children. It's just I leave and go outside and I come back home. Or I just don't date altogether until my children are grown. I just can't imagine putting their lives at risk just for me to have some moment of pleasure. Like, and there's so many people who do it because they're just trying to have, I've heard women say, I got a life too. I want to live my life too. And to me, when I hear them say that, it sounds very selfish, because it's almost like, are you competing with your child as far as who deserves to be happy versus not? I mean, I just can't imagine, ever there being a time where I'm putting my emotions, my feelings above my children, as it pertains to just when it comes to just Some man. Like I would tell my y'all, this is how bad. This is how I know I got to stay with my husband because y'all, I ain't making this shit up. If I were to be dating and my children met the person and they said they didn't like him and they really couldn't even give no reason, they just said it's just something. Y'all, that's more than enough for me. Even if they say I don't know, it's just somehow he be breathing, his mouth just be he a mouth breathe. I don't care what the reason is. I would sit that man down and say, sir, it's been real, but we ain't gonna be able to do this no more. Well, why not? Because the kids they don't like you. Well, why they don't like? I don't know them, and they just don't. Good luck. You guys to go. They said it ain't vibing. Something in their spirit. That is more than enough for me. That is more than enough for me. They ain't even got to form their words to come up with a thought process. He'll be all in his feelings, be confused. Listen, they just say they don't like it. They just say they don't. You breathe funny. They just can't do it. I don't know. But when they told me they just wasn't feeling you, and all of them said they wasn't feeling it was a collective effort. It was a family meeting when they said, Mama, he ain't it. He ain't it. Even if it wasn't even all three of them, y'all, and it was one, I got a daughter. Even if it's my daughter, be like, I don't like him. Just something about him. Y'all think I'm not finna go with that? Y'all think I'm not finna go with that if my daughter, who's just saying, no, y'all think she can't pick up when something don't feel right, something ain't right? Even my sons, not my sons, if they be like, because sometimes kids, you can't put no word. Think about sometimes you as adults, when you be like, this shit just off. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but here's the spirit. Y'all know, y'all done felt that before when you can't put no words. You can't put no words. So if you as an adult can relate to not being able to put no words to it, how you don't understand when a child ain't got their words together to tell you, Mom and Daddy, they ain't it. They ain't it. So that's why I say it's many reasons why me and Mr. got to stay together, because I already know that it would be just that simple of me just saying, sir, I can't do this, even if I never got a bad feeling about him, but my kids did. That's enough. Because how many of y'all ever heard kids will pick up something before even an adult will pick up? Y'all ever hear that when they say the kids be crying? When we seen that with Rose and her baby, I always notice when she going through it in the energy, the baby, number 4, he be crying. Children pick up energy, just like how animals can kind of pick up energy. Child, his ass probably got to go, even if my dog Bailey said, I don't like your ass. Now that I'm thinking about it, child, he just got to go, because there is so much I can think about right now that's going to come before that man, that fine specimen of a man, because I'm saying he fine going off of just looks, because I don't know him like that to know his character like that. I'm getting to know him. But if my babies then picked up something and they like, and the dog looking at his ass side eye, you got to go. Now, what I may be able to tell you, listen, baby girl got about another 4 years before she graduate. Now, once she grown and gone, we might be able to, if you still single and I'm single, we might be able to kind of link up and, go have a meal. I'll meet you at the Red Lobster. But otherwise, until then, we can't do it. I'm just saying, I am that mom that's not willing to take those type of risks for her children. So when I talk about moving with intent, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When you're going into thought, you got to go into thought. You got to go into thought. When we have the intuition, when you feel in a certain way, how many of us itched and went funky and you be like, man, I felt like it was just something about him. How many of y'all to where when y'all learned about something that happened with somebody else's situation and you said, when I met him, I didn't even feel right. It was just something about him. Now that I done learned he done this, I ain't surprised, because I didn't even feel like. Y'all go with that. Go with that. Go with that. Your kids will thank you for that. Child, it beats bit later having to apologize to your kids, explain to them how you missed the mark. So back to, as I talk about Chrissy, all these children, guess what? Every time a man come around and she gets him pregnant, guess what? That man naturally is around those other children, right? So again, today, fast forward, she's now having to do some explaining to her daughter, her baby that's no longer a baby anymore. She got to explain. Kids are going to pay more attention to how you move than what you say. Mama, I hear you saying you wasn't bending it over and spreading it wide open, but mama, look at all these kids, look at all these siblings I got. Mama, we ain't got the same daddy. We all running around here looking different. You got some white, bright as the color of the wall. You got some brown. Like they all the shades, all beautiful, but they look different. Mama, it what happened? What happened? What is it that you did that you saying that I bet not be doing, but it was okay to you? Our children do not stay babies forever. They do not stay children forever. There's going to come a time when you're going to have to explain what happened. What happened? You're going to have to explain. And that is the season that Strong Mommy Chrissy is in right now today. And that is the season that some of you parents have been in. And if you haven't been in it, guess what? You will be in it. You will be in it. So I'm raising my children. And guess what? I'm not exempt from that. That's why I have to be mindful with how I move, because I know however I move, I have to explain that. There's going to be a day where I'm going to have conversations, good or bad, even if it's centered around, hey, even if say it's positive. Let me talk to you. This is why I move like that. I did this for that reason right there. You see why I did that? Why I raised you this way? Is because it's so you can have this exam. This, you see what I'm saying? So it works in the positive too. You want to be able to speak to why you did some ish, and your child be like, I get it. I see. I get it. Wow. Thank you for that. I didn't understand that, but you were a child. But there, I knew one day you would be an adult and you wouldn't understand it when I'm raising you. But as a child, as a grown woman, a grown man, you was going to come to understand, and you was going to appreciate what mama and daddy did for you. Everybody ain't it. Everybody didn't have that luxury of having someone who was a forward thinker and thought ahead of time and knew that one day these things that we were instilling in you when you were a child, that as a grown up, a man or a woman, you will fall back on them. Because guess what? You raise your children once, and when they become adults, they're navigating through life and they're falling back on those things that you instilled in them. You know, what do they say? You raise your daughters and you coddle your sons. I see that difference just because I'm a mother of 2 sons and a daughter. My daughter, she got life figured out. She shake her head at her brothers. But guess what? I have to be conscious of the fact that I'm raising my daughter, showing her what to do, how she's supposed to move, how she's supposed to take care of herself, how she's supposed to clean. She's knowing how to cook. She's knowing all that basic stuff. But think about with our boys. And some of you men or those who grew up with brothers, with how your parents raised you versus what you seen popping off with the boys. It was a different kind of energy, right? So even me, I recognize that, and I got to be conscious of that when I'm raising my sons, as far as with showing them what to do and being on them about doing certain things, because their boys are going to be men, but it can be easy for them to get used to a woman caring for them, holding them down, looking out for them. That comes so easy, and that's why we got a lot of men like that who they didn't got comfortable with these men that they holding them down. That's a rider for them, because the environment that they were in was just that. Mama had my back, sis had my back. They always knew that they had these women there to catch them when they fall, to push them up, to elevate them. It was like this strong force for them to step out and just be the best you can and to be a leader. It's different. When y'all know, let me know if you know. I'm gonna get through these comments. It's different raising boys and girls. And I even have to be conscious of that as I'm raising my sons. The good thing for me, though, that I have going for me is that my sons have their father in the house. So I rely more on that with my husband, instilling and doing those things when it comes to the men. I'm not as involved like it is, when it comes to them and those life lessons, making sure they get it like I am with my daughter, because my daughter's super smart. She's aspiring doctor, surgeon, child. She super smart. But y'all know what I tell her, and I say this to people. I don't care if my daughter grows up to be a doctor, a lawyer, a police officer, whatever. I'm not concerned about her occupation. But y'all want to know what I'm concerned about, and what's going to me tell me what kind of parent I was, is how she navigate through life. Her self-esteem that she has about herself. Do she know who she is? How does she value people? How does she treat people? How does she value herself? How she move? What kind of representation? Because your children are a representation of you. This goes to all my kids. How are they moving out here in these streets? That's what I care about. I don't care about the profession. And I got some smart, gifted kids. I don't care about that. That's just a job. That's just money. You got a bunch of people who piss poor morally. I don't care about that. I know my kids smart. I know that. What kind of person are you? Because don't y'all ever see when y'all see an effed up person, you first like, damn, who raised him? Y'all, we shake our head all the time at Rose. Who raised her? Oh my God, because she's still an example of a product of just her environment of who raised her. Even though she's a grown woman, you still go back on, damn, what kind of values was instilled in her for her to move this way. So that's why, to me, my daughter, when I think about her and her successes, I always say I ain't trying to raise no stupid ass. Listen, y'all, I'm going to feel like I feel bad and I'm down bad if my daughter out here letting somebody take advantage of her, use her, abuse her, tear her self-esteem down. If my daughter shows that she's not assertive and aware of who she is, I'm going to question myself as far as what I showed her, because that's not going to be a win for me. She needs to leave my house knowing, just like y'all see that she know who the fuck I am, she going to know who the hell she is. So y'all just imagine a daughter of mine like me. She's going to know that ish. And if she don't know and she can't stand 10 toes down on who she is, I failed. And I got to take that. I got to accept it. I got to acknowledge that I did that. I don't care about the job. So we got to focus on like what's most important. What's most important? This, the inner, the value, the rest, the materialist, that stuff comes. You a good person, you sow good seeds, all that other stuff gonna come. But guess what? If you ain't right within, you ain't finna be winning in life. You're not finna be out here winning in life like that. So that's where my value is. And again, it's moving with intent, being intentional. I'm intentional with everything I do. Not some of the things. Everything I do, I move with intent. Y'all, that is the key. Y'all ever want to know how the hell she doing this, that, and that? Moving with intent, being intentional, giving some thought to some shit, not being out here moving all willy-nilly like just doing shit just because. Like, that's not how I move, that just because you can do it that is meant to. No. Y'all, once I heard them, I'm going to get back to these comments, but Chris Tucker, the comedian, it was Chris Rock. He said a blind person can drive a car. What did he say? He said a blind person can get behind the wheel and drive a car too, but don't mean that it's meant to be done. You see what I'm saying? So understand that just because from a logic, just a physical ability that something can be done, from a logical, is it meant to be done? Should it be done? That's what I mean when I say move intent. Just put some more thought into it. That's all, y'all. It ain't that deep. It is not that deep. That's all it is. Maddie said you're pretty. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you. Binkinson says you're built like a Dollar General employee. A Dollar General employee. Wow. We got the trolls in. Vicky Wash says, I have one son, 37 years old, sadly due to problems with addiction, suffering sexual molestation trauma from 10 to 12 years old of age, and low self-esteem. I can own the fact that I was not good mom material. And here's the thing with that, Vicky, it comes down to acknowledging the root of what happened. So the fact that you can take it back to acknowledge and ownership of what happened, guess what you're able to do? You're able to have conversations with people about that. So where people are more mindful of what they are doing and how they are moving. It helps someone else to minimize the chance of repeating that. They can say, wow, I remember when Vicky told me this story when she was just so wrapped up in whatever and she missed the sign. She wasn't paying attention. Her children weren't the forefront. I remember that. That's what I'm not going to do. Y'all see what I'm saying when I say that when you hear people's story and you look at stats, it can help us become more aware and cognizant, and we think about what we're not going to do. And that's why I like to hear people's story. And those of you who have gone through things, don't ever feel too bad like so you can't share it because it's a testimony. We all have a testimony, and that testimony can help the next person. That testimony can help the next person. And guess what? That can be a part of your healing, because by you sharing your story and your testimony, it can be something that somebody else needed to hear. You never know who needed to hear your message. That's why when I get online or live on any one of these platforms that I go live on, I don't know who need to hear my message. I don't know, y'all. But if y'all can't tell, y'all see your girl is very passionate. I feel passionate about what it is I speak about, and I just speak on it. I just speak on it because whoever is supposed to reach, it's going to reach them. It is going to reach them. Remember, I am no better than you, the next person. I'm just very self-aware, and I move with an intent. And I'm about learning. Saying, oh, shit, okay, all right, this didn't work for me. I learn from what other people do. I've never been one to have to experience something on my own. How many of y'all got that personality? You got to see for yourself. You got to experience for yourself. That's not my personality. That's some people's personality. That's not my personality. There are things you have to see and experience for yourself. God damn, it ain't everything. It ain't everything. Use discernment. I ain't got to try crack, drugs, whatever for myself to be like, yeah, I'm down bad. I guess it is as bad as they say it was. No, use discernment. You do not have to try everything for yourself. Smart people recognize what it is that they need to do for themselves versus what it is that they can learn from the next person. Don't be no fool. A fool is the person who don't take the time to recognize what they could just learn from somebody else. That's a fool. Don't be a fool. Pay attention to how other people are moving. Learn from that. Learn from that. Vicky says, Bradbury, thank you. That means a lot. My son forgives me for not being there for him from the age of 8 to 18 to 10 years. From the age of 8 to 18 to 10 years. Some of us weren't meant to be nurturing mothers. Thank God for my mom and sis. I do believe that everyone does not have the maternal instinct, but I feel like if you want it, you can get it. I personally, I've shared my background, my story, early on into motherhood. I don't feel like that whole maternal instinct, I became a mom at 24, child. It wasn't there. I ain't gonna lie. It just wasn't there. For my husband, he was just always, it was just natural for him. That it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It took time. But for me, unlike some people, I figured I got it. I wanted it. I asked for it. I prayed for it. I was able to get it before it was too late or before something happened. You see what I'm saying? And everyone don't have that story. Some people, like, it just never came. It was too, so that was, unfortunately, I contribute that the Lord set me down. He made me not work for a year because I lost my job. I was laid off. Didn't understand why. I had all the education degrees. Why I ain't got no job? And I came to see and understand that I was supposed to sit down for that period of time to get, Vicky, what you said you didn't have. During that year, during that period, that is when I got that. And at that time, I was like 30 years old. My oldest child was maybe about 7, 8 years old. So I got it during that time. But the Lord had to sit me down, and I asked, like, why? What's the deal? What do you want from me, God? Like, why am I here? Why am I not outside working? I was a working mom. I was a professional mom. Why? Y'all, I had questions. Y'all know I say when I got questions, I go live. I had questions. This is pre me being on anybody internet. What's the deal? Why am I at home? Why am I at home with 3 kids? One one at school, one in there hollering because he can't go to school. Then, my daughter in there just running the world. Why? I had these questions, and I kept asking. And one day the answer came to me, and it took like 6 months. I was probably without a job for about 6 months when it came to me. Because asking you shall receive. You sit in silence, it'll come to you. And one day it came to me. And it came to me that I had to be at home with my kids so I can get to know them, so that I can bond with them, so that I can connect to them, so I can repair my marriage. All of that, child, all of that. He set me down. I had so much going on to where my mind, my attention was so outside of the home to where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do in the home. So he's like, oh, okay. You think you ruling the world. You think you queen bee. You know who rule the world? Girl, look, you think you queen bee before you knew queen bee. I'm finna show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. I'm finna sit you down with all them degrees. Child, I got sat down. How many degrees I had that time? I had 3 degrees at that time. I got 4 now. At that time, I had 3. Set me down. Set what they say when they say you can't even buy a job. Y'all, I was down bad. I'm like, what? I got a master's. What do you mean? What do you mean I'm not getting called back for interview? What is going on? What is going on? I'm confused. What is going on, child? I thought I was going through a depression. He set me down. And guess what? I didn't go back to work until after I realized and I got the message. And after I put the work in to do what I needed to do to repair my home. And it took exactly almost 1 year to the day from when I lost my job to when I went back to work. So I know. So when I looked at it, it was a blessing for me to sit down. It took for me to lose my job for me to save my marriage, save my family. I had to lose my job. I was getting to the money. I had to lose my job. You about to lose your job. I had to lose my job, y'all, in order to repair my marriage. Like I did, because had I continued on at the time the way I was going, and child, I don't know what my last name be, or if I would even have. Child, be back to my maiden last name. Who knows if I have another last name, but it wouldn't be the last name I have now, if I, drop my married last name, because I was just, I was out in the world. Like I wasn't focused. I wasn't in tune to my family like I needed to. And here's the thing, Lord, when you're married, here's the thing about marriages versus those of you who are in relationships and you're shacking, you're not married. What they say, Lord, don't bless no mess. When you are married, the Lord will step in a way to repair your relationships, your situations in a way that he's not going to do when you're not. Let me repeat that. When you are in a marriage, he will step in a way that if you are just shacking as a boyfriend and a girlfriend, that he will not. The Lord does not bless no mess. He did what he did for me because we were in a covenant. So a part of just all the vows and all that comes along with all that stuff in the Bible that it says centered around marriage, he was working all of that through me. But if we didn't have no covenant on marriage, nah, I would have just still been out there wilding. Just like many other people. I would have just been doing whatever I'm doing and not doing what I'm supposed to do just as a wife and a mother to my kids. So it makes a difference, y'all. It really makes a difference. Hey, Toy, what's up? You said love your hair. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Shelly. What's up, Suze? Hey, Go Go Glow. Chic favors Whitney Houston. I was told that as soon as I moved to Georgia when I was in high school, Go Go Glow, when I worked at the movie theater. We were playing The Preacher's Wife at the movie theater. I was probably like 16, and it was a white guy who told me that I looked like Whitney Houston. And I was so confused by that. But Whitney Houston's beautiful. Thank you very much. Brat Baby says that Vicky says so much that you can admit your wrongs and apologize. I'm sure that means a lot to your son. Thank God you both had family to look after you. What's up, Francis? Hey, y'all. Hey, what's up, y'all? Vicky says that Brad Baby, I was too selfish, resentful. My mental health was too messed up to take care of myself, let alone my son. Fortunately, I had loving family that stepped in to take over when I couldn't. And here's the thing, Vicky, think there's so many people, so many kids who've say had a parent that wasn't in tune to them, just as you weren't at that time in their life, and they didn't have anyone else to step in. So it is a blessing that you even had any other family members to step in to pick up where you where you were lacking. There's so many kids that don't have that. So it's just how we look at things, Vicky. Today it sounds like you've learned a lot because you've said a lot in this chat, and I do thank you for sharing. I encourage you to continue to share your story, your testimony, because it can help someone else. It's about being aware. Being aware has us to not become repeat offenders. That's what it's about. Hey, Lami, what's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you, Lami. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have y'all hit the like button? We just having conversations. Those who just joined in. Hamdi says, girl, I think homeboy dipped himself. Hey, Bertrand, you coming here working. I appreciate you as usual. Lami says, same here. Scorpio energy. Y'all know we don't play. Hamdi says, Chic, you spot on as always. Thank you. Thank you. Francis says, jealousy is ugly disease. Stop hating on the beautiful host. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. PM says, oh, no, I don't have no experience. Did I see? Handy says, Vicky, I pray that the Lord, he continues to heal you and all of us. God gave you that test because he knew you were a soldier and knew you would help others. I hope your pains turn to purpose. I do believe that. I even believe that even just what I was going through and when I was just disconnected from just family, like the way I was, mentally. It was like I was physically there, but it was almost like a mental, emotional disconnect. Later down the line, when I went back to work and I figured out life and I made a good friend, and she was going through the same thing I'd went through. So I was able to help her through that, which ultimately saved her marriage and kept her family together. So it had me to really think that, the lessons and the things that I went through, it was bigger than me because the Lord knew that I would come across people who would need to hear my testimony and to need to hear how I was able to navigate those trying times. And so that sometimes it's bigger than you, and you have to recognize that it's not always. I think sometimes it can be ego, that we can be so caught up in self to where we think everything is about us, when sometimes when we're going through things, it's not about you. It's bigger than you. You're being used as the one to be the test, the example. You may sit and wonder, why me? Why me? But then the question is also, why not you? So when I met my friend and she was going through the same exact thing, to me, it all resonated. It came to me and like this is why I needed to experience what I did. This is why. This is why. This is why. And when I was help her and doing all that, you all, this was like prior to me getting my education in counseling. So part of that experience with making this friend and helping her out and helping to save her marriage, it kind of pushed me into that direction of, with wanting to get my education in counseling, to be a therapist and all of that. So sometimes it took for me to go through things to be able to help somebody else. So that's what I found myself after, I did that work for 1 year and I went back to work. I started building these relationships with people. And that's how I got the 4th degree in I have a master's in clinical mental health counseling. It came from the relationships that I built after I did that work. Like I built these relationships where I was suddenly helping people and being a counsel to people. Child, like that's it. I needed a me back when I was going through it. Y'all, like think about like when I was 30 and like when I was going through it, I didn't have like a me with someone to talk to. So it's like I became that person that I could have used at the time when I was going through something. That's why I always say, you all go out into the world and be that person in which you want to show up for you. And so I showed up to people in the world in a way in which I would have appreciated had someone being there to show up for me in that type of way. So, that's where, that's how I help people and where my love to kind of want to kind of keep families together and do all that came from. And, I went through some things. Mama said, if you live long enough, you'll go through some things. And no matter how young I may look, child, I am 44 years old. I'm grown. I have gone through some things just like the next person. But I've learned many lessons. So that maybe the difference between me and maybe the next person is me learning from those things and not being a repeat offender, me taking notice of, I did this didn't quite work, so I'm not going to do that again. Or I've seen that this person did that and it wasn't a good outcome for that, for what they did. So let me just try not to do that either. It's just you live and you learn. Like I said, you don't have to always experience things yourself. Just know that you can learn from other people. You can learn from other people. The goal is to just learn. That is our goal. That is the lesson for today, honor students. You got to learn, to learn, to learn. Whether you're learning for your own life experiences or you're learning from the next person's, to learn. As long as you have breath in your lungs, you wake up, and it's about learning for the purpose of becoming a better you. And then while you're becoming a better you, you're becoming a better example to those who are looking to you. Vicky says, I try to remain humble and not forgetting where I came from or start thinking I'm better than, except maybe better than Rose. I get it. Sometimes it takes for us. So the reason too why I react to Rose content is that, to the contrary of how some may think, it's not centered around judging someone. It's about the lessons. There are so many lessons that can be learned from just watching her. And sometimes by looking at what not to do, we know, okay, well, damn, the opposite is to do this. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes we don't know what to do, but we know what not to do. So if you at least know what not to do, you can figure out what the opposite of that is. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? For example, you see, okay, let's just say, going back to Strong Mommy Chrissy, using her as an example. With her, I think she got about 9 beautiful children. I think it's like 7 men. She got a set of twins, so they got the same daddy, and then she was married, and she had 2 kids from him. So we're going to say she got seven daddies. So for her daughter, Cadence, baby girl, if I were to talk to her, this is what I would say to her. I would have her to look at her mom's situation. Just using knowledge on how babies are created, decisions that we have to make to get to a point to even become pregnant, to birth children, all of that. I would have her to think through all of that. I would then ask her if that is the type of life that she would like for herself. If her answer is no, I would co-sign that it is very, very possible for her not to have a life like that if that's what she so choose. If her response is, I'd like to have, say, 5 children, but I want to be married, I want them to be all by the same man, I would tell her that's very possible. There are people every day that do it. We know it's possible. We just see within our community, we don't see it enough. But guess what? In all other communities, it happens that way more so than not. Our community is the only one where it's in the reverse. We are no different. What makes us different, we're not any different from the physical. What makes us different is the mindset. Everything is in the mind. So I would talk to her about her putting in her mind how she wants her life and her family to look. That's what it's about. It's just about being cognizant, being aware, how you learning how to achieve the goals that we may have for ourselves. You got to identify. Like, you say you want to bake a cake. Oh my God, I love chocolate cake. German chocolate cake happens to be my favorite. I want to bake a cake. Guess what? The first step going to be, I got to learn how the hell to do it, right? I got to know the ingredient. I got to go buy it. I got to learn how to do it. Again, that's me seeking knowledge. I can't learn how to make that cake by just sitting and just thinking, wow, I really want that cake. I got to put forth effort to learn how to go about getting things, or getting that very thing that I want. And it's going to start with me asking questions, forming the question, how do you bake the German chocolate cake? Okay. Well, okay. I want to know how. How do you do it? Okay. Well, I gotta go figure out who I can go to tell me. Okay. I know Sheila next door. She bakes a lot, and I can ask her. Then I got the internet. I got this damn $2,000 iPhone that I just got. I can type in there how to bake a cake. So, okay. Again, this is the question asking. I say smart people ask questions. You're asking questions. Everything starts with asking questions. You ask the questions and you seek out the answer. That is what you do. This is how you become the statistic in the small pool. You don't want to be a part of the statistic where the odds are against you. You want to beat the odds. Beating the odds is going to be that small number. Strive to be in that small number. And it starts with you having the question and then seeking out answers. This is what I tell any and everyone that I come across. This is the secret. If y'all want to know what's the secret to getting ish done, to winning, it's asking questions and seeking out answers and then implementing. The last part is implementing. So baby girl say, okay, she identifies who she can talk to with trying to have this family that she wants with to look a certain way. She has those conversations. They say, well, it's going to start with, how you showing up in the world. Because what I mean by showing up, what type of people are gravitating towards you? What kind of energy are you giving off? That's how you showing up in the world, because it's starting there. Because remember, like attracts like. So if you want to attract someone who got good juju, good energy, you got to give off that. What are you doing? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you presenting the best version of yourself? Are you dressed in a way that has just your average person to be like, wow, that's a nice looking person. That's somebody that, I'll take around my family, my friends. I'll take out to, take out on a date. Is that what you're giving? Is that what you're giving? It makes a difference on the type of person that you're attracting. So some of us are stuck on, oh my God, I keep attracting this type of person, that type of person. Let's stop and think about, what is it that we're giving? How are we presenting ourselves that has us to get that type of response? And sometimes, and I've heard women just from the change of their weight, their bodies from losing weight, talk about a change in the quality of men that approach them, or even the tactic with how they approach them has even changed. They say it might still be a challenge with weeding through, trying to find a good one. But they say that they've noticed that the tactic with how the men are approaching them is simply different just because they've now lost weight. It's almost like the men are approaching them like the woman has options to be able to say, no, I'll pass, versus before when they had all the weight, the man approaching them like, well, you just better be glad I'm even coming to your face and even saying something to you. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes based off of how you're presenting yourself, it will have a bearing on how you're perceived by somebody else and how they're coming at you. So sometimes we got to take inventory on what we are giving and start there. Just start there. The same person with Yanni, I've heard her talk about years ago how when she was younger, maybe in her 20s, she used to wear colored hair a lot. She would just wear, I guess, the different wigs. And y'all know some of the young people, do you wear all the different hair colors, the blue, the purple, the yellow? She said she was doing all that. But she said that she noticed when she stopped doing that, she got different type of people, different type of men that started to approach her to show interest with her simply by her changing her hair color. Y'all, it can be as simple as that. Y'all, a lot of times it don't be that deep. It can be something as simple as that. Something as simple as the hair color or the placement of the tattoo on the neck versus, say, a tattoo on your wrist. It can be something that simple. It can be something that simple, but that's the thing. That's what we got to think about, that sometimes the things that we do, the decisions we make can impact how we may or may not be perceived by other people. And guess what? We have no bearing. We cannot control how someone perceives us based off of what we do. We can't control that. You can't get mad that somebody looking at you a certain way or perceiving you a certain way because your hair looks a certain way or your tattoo is placed a certain way. You can't get mad or take offense to that. You just have to accept that that is how people are perceiving you. The only thing you can do is try to control what it is you got going on for the purpose of changing how you are perceived. You see what I'm saying? So if you are perceived in a way that's unfavorable and you got a problem with that, you can't spend your life windmilling with everybody out there in the world like what Rose will do, because they're perceiving you a way based off of what you're giving. You can't do that. That's insanity. That does not work. That does not work. You can only control yourself. So what you have to do is that you have to change how you move, how you present yourself so you can get a different response. That's how this issue works, y'all. That's all is to it. You can't run around because you spend your life trying to change people. You cannot change people. People are who they are. And guess what? People don't like for people to try to change them. Think about it. How many of you we've all experienced where somebody have tried to change or adjust how we moved and we didn't like it. It doesn't feel good when someone's trying to change you. So don't go around doing that to somebody else. You just be you. You be you. If people aren't here for what it is that you're giving, you got to move around. So you got two options. You move around, meaning, okay, well, they ain't here for what I'm giving. This ain't, okay, so let me go into a different environment. Let me move around. Or you adjust yourself. Them the only two options. Because trying to fight everybody, that's insanity. You're not going to get anywhere. The two options you have is to move around and what they say, go where you're celebrated, go into an environment where you're celebrated, or make some adjustments. Make some adjustments. Yanni changed her hair color. She went to just a neutral hair color, a dark hair color. That is what she did. She could have continued to wear the colorful hair and all of that and still got the same response from the world. She could have done that. She chose to do something else, and she likes the result that she's getting as a result of her making a change. She didn't choose to sit in, well, I don't understand why people are still just treating me differently because my hair is this color. It's just hair. Like, it's a thing. People are going to do it. So it's insane to sit and just be mad about what is versus accepting that this is the way reality is and just moving around and just going to do something else or making an adjustment. But to sit and just cry over the way something is, when has that ever made a difference? What makes a difference is taking action, right? And taking action is putting in the work to make a change. Or you say, okay, I'm just going to accept what it is that this is. And I'm just going to just move around and go into another environment where things are different. Those are the two logical options. That's what smart people do. That is what smart people do. Francis says, whenever I start feeling like I'm not good enough, Mom, I just watch Cactus and I feel better about everything that I do for my babies. That is, listen, what they say sometimes when you might feel like you down bad and you see somebody else who down worse than you, it's the way life is. It's the way life is. That's how, sometimes it be that way to where you think your situation bad and then you look at somebody else who 10 times worse than you. Everybody got something going on. It's just that some people's struggles are deeper than others, but everybody got something. We're imperfect people, so we live and we learn, and that's just life. And if you're fortunate enough to continue to live, you got an opportunity to learn. So make the best of the time that you have here. Hamdi says, Brat Baby or sending your babies off like luggage. Brat Baby says, that's so true, chic. Francis says, Brat, exactly, same here. As long as our kids have what they need and love, that's all that matters. Yeah, it's the little things. Really, with children, it's the little things. That's why I say if it's something as simple as like you paying attention to, their basic needs, or them, paying attention to if they're feeling uncomfortable around certain people that you're bringing into their lives. Don't dismiss that. Children are very simple. Children are simple. Do not dismiss that. They may not have the exact words to communicate to you that this person that you've brought into their life isn't kosher. They may not say it just like that, but your children. Pay attention to how your children's body language. If you see that they seem kind of uncomfortable, talk to them. Ask them questions. Ask them what's going on with them, because there's likely something going on with them and they just hadn't found the words to be able to say it to you. Pay attention to your children. There's no reason why each of us, if we live in the home with our children, why we shouldn't know when our children is acting out of character, when something seems off with them. Pay attention. Don't dismiss it because we caught up in somebody that finally came into our lives and we happy. Mama trying to get her groove back. Daddies, women too, you know. If that woman ain't kosher, you know, don't be caught up in, okay, well, you didn't got you a piece or whatever. But meanwhile, this woman ain't the best fit around your children, and she's just not treating your kids right. And you just caught up in just them having a woman around, you thinking that she finna be some type of mother figure when that's not what it is. These are selfish thoughts. When you have children, that's the last thing you can do is be selfish. When we're selfish, that's when things happen. That's when things bad, not so good things happen, when we are selfish and when we lose sight of what's important and what really matters. So open your eyes. Pay attention. Francis says Chic is beautiful. Her bone structure and facial features are perfect. Thank you, Francis. I appreciate you. Handy saying my baby is 11 months old. No way she leaving my sight. That's what I'm talking about. Like, think about it, Handy. If more people had that mindset when it came to their kids, even as they grew and just been in their household, and their children are just even Rose kids' ages or teenagers, just having the mindset of just protecting. That's a mama bear, just protecting your kids. I think that as long as my son is 19 and I still have a mindset of still wanting to be a protector to a certain extent where I'm making sure that he's good. Like, this is just being a parent. You want to make sure that they're good at all times, that their needs are met, that they're not going without. And when you got your children in your home, under your roof, what excuse you got? What excuse do you have to miss the mark and not take notice that they're going without things, that their emotions aren't where they need to be, their psyche isn't where they need to be, but you in the house. And that's what it looks like when you're physically there, but you're not present. And like I said, I know what that's like to physically be there, but to not be present. Fortunately for me, with my story, I was able to turn it around when my children were very, 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 very little. And I was this way within still my home where my children were still with, their biological parents. So they weren't staying at different people's house. I never was about that, where I wasn't that damn disconnect where my kids can just be staying at people's houses. No, my kids were always either with us or they were with trusted family members such as the grandparents or my siblings. That was it. Like, so they weren't just going all over the place. So that's another thing. Don't be sending your kids to all these different people's houses to babysit, because a lot of people's stories of being violated happened when they were at a sitter's house. It happened when they were at a sitter's house, when they were in the care of someone else. And I think that a lot of that can be prevented if parents weren't so quick to just send their children off to someone else to watch them for whatever reason. It's just not safe. It's just not safe. And so with that being said, children, yes, it's hard work. So this goes into the thought process as we think about whether or not we want to have children or not, or whether or not, as we think about how many kids we want to have. As you're thinking about this, think about it from a place of, okay, what do you think you can mentally handle? Because if you're going to try to have 5, 6, 7 kids, there are going to be times when you're going to be tired and you're going to be trying or wanting to send those kids off to someone else. So guess what? That tells me, nah, maybe I shouldn't be striving to have that many kids, because that's going to be a lot. And when it becomes a lot, it's going to have me to maybe be quicker to kind of turn them over to somebody else to get a break. So these are the things that I talk about when I say just put thought into things when we think about of whether or not we want to have children, and we think about how many children we want to have. Because when you got a whole bunch of kids in the house, it's not possible, especially as a single mom, to be attentive to all of those children. It's not possible. You are just one person. Somebody's going to go lacking. Everybody's not going to get their needs met. At some point, all the kids going to experience going without, because your attention is going to switch from, okay, well, who need my attention now? Okay, the teenager now, she give me the blues, so I got to give her all my attention. But guess what? You got the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old over here. They still got their needs, but though your attention is now on the other, so you got to think, this is when I say, you got to think about these type of things before you go into starting to create these families. Not because, okay, well, from a biological standpoint of, okay, well, physically, biologically, I can have a baby, but mentally, emotionally, like, does it make sense to have that baby based on your circumstances? Everyone's circumstances don't look the same. So you got to be real with what your situation is. Your situation ain't gonna look like the next person's situation. Francis says, I just realized that Kathy copied Sheik's nose ring. So Francis, you think she copied my nose ring? Because yeah, y'all probably never even seen me, but I've had this nose ring for like 3 years. That's funny. Oh my goodness, yeah. I wondered recently what had her inspired her, to get the nose ring. So my thing is I'm all about being an inspiration. I like to be a positive inspiration. It's about being positive. Like I said, when you come out here on this internet, you got to move responsibly. You got to move responsibly, especially when you know that you got the attention of people. You have to be responsible with that. So I'm not one to just want to come to the internet and because I got people's ear, I'm just going to run amok and just talk crazy and lead the people to the pits of hell. That's just not what I'm going to do. I'm responsible with that. I know, hey, I got the people's attention. Let me talk some real stuff into them, some stuff that's going to make a difference on their lives. Let me do that. Let me do that. So that's how I approach the internet. Everybody don't handle it the same way. So if someone learns anything from me or mimics anything that I do, I feel good knowing that it's something that's positive, not negative. It's something that's positive. So that's what I always strive to do. I strive to be a positive example to those whom I encounter. But thank you for that. Brat Baby says, my oldest is 9 and my youngest is 4. My husband and I just went on our first overnight trip without them this year. I could not let my baby leave states away from me. Yeah, I mean, that's just being responsible. That's being responsible. Listen, I know folks who regularly, get their little time away, and it's just a matter of who finna babysit. So kudos to you. Hamdi says, Brat Baby, exactly. I agree. I am so happy for y'all. Girls, some women act child free, like girls sit down. Yep. And those are the ones who children get caught up and end up in bad situations that impacts their overall quality of life forever. Because when certain traumas that you endure, like you deal with them for a lifetime, and counseling is just a tool. Counseling is a tool. It's not a savior, it's a tool. It's a place to go to learn how to cope with what you're dealing with. That's what counseling is. And parents who do not do right by their children and who act irresponsibly, the effect of that is their children being traumatized and impacted in a not so good way. And it's just, you got to live with that. You have to live with that. And you got to, one day you have to own that and have those tough conversations with your children, because they're not children forever. One day they'll be adults. And those children who grow up to be adults will have questions. They're going to know why, how, and you're going to have to, give them those answers. And that's where Strong Mommy Chrissy is today. She has to come to her daughter with the answers. She's coming to her daughter with the answers. Handy says, if you wanted all that leisure time, then hold off on the kids, right? Exactly. That's why I say move with intent. Move with intent. Judge Fifi, what's up, Fifi? What's up? What's up? Welcome. Hope you had a good live. I got to be a part of the replay game. Virtuous says, Chic. Thanks, Virtuous. Virtuous dropped my cash app, $ speak 50. Thank you very much for that. Cash app, super chat, whatever. I appreciate anything y'all do. Liking the video, sharing, subscribing. Vicky says, I hear you, Chic. After being the same job for 22 plus years, I was released in February 23, forcing me into early retirement at 64 years of age. I was paralyzed from that poor, trying to maintain, grateful. Yes. Life happens, life happened, and it's about navigating through it, learning from it, identifying the lessons from it, because everything that we endure, like there is a lesson, there is something to take away from it. There is something, and that's me. That's why I say always I'm a why person. Always why? Even like when I didn't have my job, like I kept asking why because it's like it didn't make sense to me. And I kept asking because I needed to make sense of it. So asking you shall receive. Just you ask, you get into in a quiet place, and that answer will come to you. Just be ready for that answer because that answer may not be what you want to hear, but it's the answer. It's the answer. And you take that information that you receive and you move forward with it. You learn, you do better. That's all we can do is to try to do be the best versions of ourselves. And sometimes we have to rely on other people to help us with doing just that because we don't know what that looks like or how to do it. That's fine. I don't know all the answers, but I can identify someone who may have the answers to something that I don't. So that's what it comes down to. Identifying someone who may know more than you, who may have more resources than you, seeking out help, seeking out support. People like to help, especially if they know like you're trying to be a better version of yourself. Like people like to help. I like to help. That's why I come out here and I talk to you. Child, y'all know I like to help. I got 2 of them channels that I be talking on. Y'all know I'm trying to help somebody. I can't help it. I feel like it's my calling to be here to help. This is what I feel like my calling is on this, on this planet. And I think that the fortunate ones learn what their calling is before they leave this realm. So if you do not know what your calling is, ask. Because years ago, that's what I did. I asked, Lord, what is my calling? What am I here for? And it was revealed to me that it was to help people through counsel. And when that was revealed to me, that is what I started doing it. That's what I started doing. I first started with the youth in my church. From there, it became just the adults just in my life, in my workspace. And here I am now. So I know it's my calling. How you know when something is your calling is when you can do it very effortlessly. So we all watch Judge Fifi. I personally feel like it is her calling to investigate. I think it would be great if she could turn that into some type of business where she can offer services, where she can investigate and find things and find information for people for a fee. That is a gift. That is a gift. Many people rely on that in their personal lives, attorneys. It is a gift. It is a gift. And some of you have these gifts, but you're not really treating it like that. You recognize you have the ability, but you're not looking at it as a gift when it's actually a gift, a God-given gift that you're able to do that. Figure out how to turn your gift into something that you can help others with, and as well as you can like make a living off of that. Like that's the intent. Figure out how you can merge the two. But that's what I feel like, for me on the outside, I feel like Judge Fifi, her gift is to find information that people need. She has the abilities to know where to go. Everybody don't know where to go to get certain information. She knows. So remember I say, you got questions, you ain't got the answers. That's fine. Identify who the hell do. You need to find his sorry ass. Call Fifi. Fifi gonna find his ass for you. He ain't paid a damn child support. Fifi gonna help you get his ass together. She gonna get all them damn W-2s. She finna find some ish that he didn't even know he had. She gonna find it. Listen, Mr. Play with me. I'm gonna get Fifi. Listen, I'm gonna get Fifi on your ass. I'm gonna get Fifi on your ass. Fifi is that one. So imagine, being someone and you have a skill, you have something going on for you that people can identify you as being that person to turn to. That is when you know when you're a gift, because your gift is something that everyone sees, everyone takes notice of. Everyone takes notice of Fifi's skills. That is her gift. That is her gift. What is your gift? What is your gift? And if you do not know what your gift is, that's fine. Ask. I remember driving into work one day and asking, like, Lord, what's my gift? I asked. And it was revealed to me. It didn't take long either. It was revealed to me. Like, it didn't take long at all. So if you do not know what your gift is, ask. for it to be revealed, because we all have a gift, we all have a purpose. And I think those of us who are aware of what our gifts are, we're blessed. But those who are really that much more blessed are those who are walking in their gift, those of us who are using our gifts. So my gift is to reach people, to connect with people, to teach, to help to elevate. That's my gift. Hey, Tanae, say, hey, y'all, what are y'all talking about? Everything. Brad says men are extremely visual. Yes, men are very, very visual. And I think that women, unfortunately, a lot of us just want to sit in the fact of, okay, not liking the fact that they're so visual versus accepting that it is a thing. Like what I say to you all tonight, if you don't take nothing away from all that I done said in these 104 minutes, take away with knowing what it is that you can change versus what you can't. Meaning there are some things to where it is what it is. It's nature. It is what it is. Nature cannot be changed. Nature is nature. So you accept what it is and you move accordingly. So if you know that men are visual, okay, well, I want this man attention. I got to learn, what is it that this man likes? What's his appetite? What is he attracted to? Like, you can't get stuck in the fact that he attracted to this, but you're that. By you being in your feelings about that, that ain't gonna change nothing. That ain't gonna make him look your way. It is what it is. Either you can become that or you can't. You move around and find you somebody, or somebody will find you whose appetite, you line up with. It's that simple. I think we're too many of us are just so focused on the things that we just don't like that exist versus focusing on the things that we have control over. And at the end of the day, all we have control over is ourselves. Present the best version of yourself. That's all you can do. That's all any of us can do. That's all I do. That's all I encourage you all to do. Just present the best version of yourself. When you present the best version of yourself, it got to be up from there. You got to get the good juju. You got to get what's meant for you. You out here doing the work. You are doing the work. You're doing the Lord's work. You're doing the work. I was listening to Tony Gaskins today, and oh my God, y'all, he cracked me up. I was listening to a live that he was just talking about just the women and just desperation, and how so many women want to be married and want men and things like that. And they're putting in all this energy to do these things to get that man. But what he says is that, and what I agreed with him, is that it's not about you trying to do all these things, these tasks to try to get that man to get his attention. It's about you handling your business, taking care of yourself. So therefore, that person who's for you will take notice of you and all that you got. Y'all see what I'm saying? I've told women this before, and I've even done this myself. Ladies, if you ever find yourself in a season in your relationships and you feel like, or you question of whether or not you have his attention, your partner's attention, don't turn your attention towards him or her or whatever with being all in a mix and being a nuisance and asking all kind of questions. That's not what you do. Get into yourself. Try it. Listen to me. Get into yourself. What that means is that pour into yourself, meaning exercise, do things for yourself, things that ain't got nothing to do with him or whatever. Just get into yourself. Present that best version of yourself. I promise you they are going to take notice. Tried and tested. Tried and tested. Ladies, if you ever wonder if you still got his attention, he ain't paying attention to you, get into yourself. Start, switch it up. Switch it up. Start exercising, working on some things to improve yourself. Maybe change up your clothes a little bit, your hair, but do some things to just pours into yourself, that just has you just like, forget it. Whatever he doing him, I'm finna get into myself. I'm finna damn do these crunches that I've been putting off. Listen, y'all, I've had these seasons. I ain't no, listen, y'all, I'm a woman just like the next one. I've had these seasons. And when I say, when that man sees you getting into yourself and pouring into yourself, Guess who finna be running around suddenly all in your face, lurking, paying attention, trying to see what the hell you doing, what you got going on? That person. It works. I promise you, try it. Get into yourself. Many of us got a whole lot that we can be doing to pour into our lives than worrying about the hell he or somebody else doing. Get into yourself. His attention gonna come because he gonna be like, well, damn, what's she doing them extra sit-ups for? She ain't been doing no crunches. Why are you doing all that? And he may not even outright ask you that. And some of them may boldly ask you that. Mine didn't ask me no questions, but I noticed the attention zoomed in. The attention came in. With just check, he came in like a magnet with being around me, being in my space. Being in my space. Those things that say I was wanting, but I said, oh, okay, I ain't finna worry about it. He busy working. That's all right. I'm finna be busy working on me. I can't worry about that. I'm gonna work on me. And by me working on me, the effect was bringing him in closer. So, ladies, don't get stuck on what he doing, and don't do that. Worry about yourself. You ever seen that mean little white girl? Where she in the car seat in the back seat? Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. Ladies, worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. Worry about yourself. Everything else will fall into place. Tony Gaskin said, ladies, don't be focused and worried about building yourself, getting your money up, starting businesses, starting a nonprofit. Because guess what? A man very well will take notice of those things that you're doing. You're pouring to yourself, and it's going to be attractive. It's going to pull their attention, because remember, a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. That man should be looking for you, seeking you out, not the other way around. So pour into yourself. Remember, I always say on every live before I leave, go out into the world, show up in a way in which you want others to show up for you. Like attracts like. What you want to attract to you, be that. Work on yourself. You want his body to be good, and you want him to be fit and to take care of himself and love on his family and serve in the community. You do that. Remember, like attracts like. Like attracts like. Worry about yourself. Message for today. Worry about yourself. So many of us, we out here worry about everything, everybody, except for ourselves. We are neglecting ourselves. We not taking care of ourselves, but in the next breath, we talking about what we ain't got, this man who ain't around, all of that. Take care of yourself. Worry about yourself. Start pouring into yourselves. You deserve it. Hey, Laura, you said the baby getting away from her may be healthy for both of them. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think, given with Rose and the situation with the baby, I think it could very well be a benefit with the baby being with the grandparents, just given what we've seen, take place in that household. Because remember, I took notice a lot, and I was saying on my lives that I felt like the baby was picking up on her energy, and it wasn't good. So it may just be, best for the baby to be with the grandparents at this point. Yeah, just hopefully, the babies, all the kids are just taken care of. Virtuous says, can we get 10 more likes, please? Listen, 10 more likes. I don't know what number we were at, but everyone liked the live. Thank you all for joining me this evening on this sick and shut in live. Girls all flying all over the place. Y'all, I've been down for the count. There's been so many things I've been wanting to get out here and to talk about and to go live. But I wanted to just feel like I can get through it. The last live I did, I felt like I struggled as I tried to talk to you all today. I'm feeling better. Still congested, but I don't have the cough. So like I said, I'm recovering from bronchitis. So I do thank you all for joining me. I was like, hey, let's go on the big channel. Hey, Yvonne McGowan, you said Judge Fifi has that gift. Y'all already know who I'm calling. Listen, let him get funky over if he wants to. I'm give Judge Fifi to roll up on him. Y'all think I'm playing. I'm like, y'all. So what had happened was, this ain't a thing no more, but y'all know Judge Fifi on that ass. Judge Fifi on that ass, y'all. Listen, with a Judge Fifi, I don't even know if y'all need a attorney. Y'all, you even need to hire an attorney. I think you get Judge Fifi and her receipts, you might be able to show up, represent yourself and with Judge Fifi receipts. And I think you will be winning. I think y'all do just fine with Judge Fifi. Save your money. I would say before investing in an attorney, Invest in Judge Fifi first. Attorney secondary. Judge Fifi first. Remember, it's priorities. It's priorities. Judge Fifi first because you may be able to save a coin, and Judge Fifi got some pretty good rates. So I feel like you'll be better off if you go that route with seeking out Judge Fifi's services before that divorce attorney's services. I'm just saying, don't say I ain't told you. Don't say I ain't told you. Just remember, don't forget about Judge Fifi if y'all ever going through it because she is the queen of receipts. Vicky says, Chic, I feel your calling is to just let us try some of your German chocolate cake. Just kidding. Listen, I didn't say I was over here making German chocolate cake, Vicky. I said I like it. Here in Atlanta, we have this place called A Piece of Cake. So when I want my German chocolate fix, I'll eat that. I'll go there. But y'all know I always say I never eat all my food. So just one slice of cake, I'll eat it probably like three different days because I don't eat anything like at once. So that's part of the secret too to maintaining my small body. I don't consume a lot of food. I like what I like and I'm gonna eat it, but I don't eat it in large amounts. But I love a German chocolate cake. Virtuous says, battery dying. Y'all have a blessed night. Thank you for all your hard work as usual, virtuous woman. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Francis says, like Michael Jackson said, start with the man in the mirror. Yes, and so many people don't want to do that because it hurts, to be accountable. I'm not exempt from that, even, that year when I said that, I sat home. It hurts. It's a humbling experience when you have to take inventory and acknowledge your shortcomings and where you went wrong. Karma is a beat. Like when you really think about what you've done to other people, and when you acknowledge that all that has happened or transpired to you, it was rightfully so. It's rightfully so. So it's not about just living in your feelings on that. It's acknowledging that things happen as they should. And it's about learning from those lessons. It's the lessons, it's the takeaways. And that's how I'm able to be here with you all tonight and any other night as I talk to you, is because I experienced things and I learned from them. So I come out here to talk to you all about them. So therefore I can help you or whoever to not have to experience them in a way in which I did, or some of you who may be experiencing some of these things. It can help gain some understanding and some clarity as to why you may be going through what you're going through. But if any of you are going through anything and you're feeling weak and you need answers, ask and you shall receive. I remember at my lowest of the lows time during that time, really just so wanting to understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling and asking for relief of just the pain, the discomfort of what I was feeling. I remember literally in the bathroom dropping to my knees, asking for help through what I was going through at that time. And almost instantly, I can feel the relief of the emotion, the pain, what I was feeling. I can just feel the weight starting to lift off me, because what they say, you don't have to carry that. You can pass that weight on to him. So that is what I did. And that was my first time that I'd ever done that. And I reflect back on it. And the only other time, since then that I've kind of leaned into that was maybe earlier this year when I was going through things and I had to recall, like, okay, a lot of times when we think about passing off our troubles onto the higher power, we think about it, it's almost like as an afterthought. It's not a first and forethought, when we should think about it early on, because it can save us a lot of just heartache, pain, stress, when early on we think about passing off, that burden. When they say the burden's not mine, it's the Lord, it definitely makes a difference when you pass that burden off, because we're not designed to carry that type of weight, but he is. And you have to remember that he can carry it for you. But remember that early on, and don't just get put through the ringer and then it's later an afterthought after you done went through it and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about you. I forgot you're the option. That should always be your first option. And even as myself, I have to remember what the first option is, not the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, what the first option is. The first option is to pass it to your higher power. If you want answers, if you got questions, if you're going through it, turn to your higher power, whatever you may refer to your higher power as. Turn to that higher power for help, for support, for guidance, and you will get your answers. You will get your answers. Try it and test it. Try it and test it. Vicky says, I admit I am a big question asker and I need to scale it back at times. It's due to my own insecurities. And the thing about asking questions is that sometimes we have to also know when we have to know, understand, and accept when we may not have the answers to those questions. So like you, Vicky, I was always a question asker and I wanted answers. And if I couldn't get an answer, like that was a whole problem. In this season of my life, I'm learning to accept not having the answers all the time, and I accept when that it's okay to not have the answers, and to trust the process, and to trust in my higher power, and to trust that as I continue to do what feels right, maybe the answers will come along. So it's okay to go into something and not always have the answers right away, but usually they will eventually come. But don't let that hold you back to where you're not moving and you're not accomplishing things because you don't have the answers. Some people don't even do anything or don't make moves in their lives because they didn't have all the answers on day one. So they never bust a move. And it's like, say, just with starting a new job or starting a business, a project, they just never started because they never had all the answers. So they felt like, oh, okay, I can't start because I don't have this, I don't have that. There's always something that we can think of that we're missing. But sometimes it's just about just getting started. Just do something. Just like Michael Jordan, just do it. It's just as simple as that. Just do it. As you do it, it'll come to you. The answers will come. The resources will come. Remember I said, Tony Gaston said, you want that man, pour into you. Sheik says, you want that man's attention, pour into you. It's going to come. All those things that you want and desire will come. Do you, boo, do you. Pour into you. Just do it. Just do it. All else will fall into play. Lord, when he see you doing the work, the way he operates, he's going to bless you. You're going to get those things. Put in the work. Just like I say, exercise. You do the exercise, you're going to get the results. Don't worry about how fast they're going to come. They're going to come. Just do the work. Just do the work. Just do the work. Francis says, you know, Virgos notice everything. Yes, that's my husband, Francis. He don't miss a beat. Notice every dang thing. He noticed everything. He noticed everything. So Vicky said that, Francis, seriously, for me, it's not being nosy, though, even though it may seem like that. Yes, Virgos definitely, they pay attention. Vicky said, I'm a Pisces and tend to be more sensitive and get hurt feelings when pushed back on. Yes, so my oldest son is a Pisces, Vicky. Yep. Pisces tend to be quiet but sensitive lovers. But yeah, very sensitive. So I get it. I get it. Francis says, I love Pisces. My mom was a Pisces, just lost her this past August. Sorry to hear about that, Francis. Yes, my oldest is a Pisces. Beautiful. All the Pisces I've met are very beautiful, loving. They will just give you everything off their back, loving people. Brett Miller, you know, Rose's husband, Pisces. We see the energy between them. You know, he ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but we ain't finna say that he's a bad person. We see his energy, you know, his spirit. Like, look how he deals with her. So that speaks volume. That speaks volume there. We got to give him some points there. The fact like that he's dealing with all of that. Pisces, all the Pisces I've ever met are, I've yet to meet like a bad, you know, piss poor Pisces. I'm just saying. Vicky says, I'm sorry for your loss. I lost my mom on March 17, 2022 at 92. She lived a long life. Vicky says, the last 2 years haven't been easy, losing my mom in 2022, then losing my job in 2023. Keep your head up, Vicky. Like I said, turn to a higher power, go into prayer, get into a quiet place, asking you shall receive, ask for your steps to be directed. Francis says, Vicky, I'm sorry for your loss. And then prayers. Vicky says, thanks so much, Francis. Much love, Big Hub. This has been, thank you all. It's been a wonderful, great live. I thank you all for tuning in with me during this sick and shut in live, child. I just had some things on my mind and my heart I want to talk about. So thank you all for joining me to participate in this discussion. Vicky, thank you. She great advice. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we just got to keep going and surround ourselves with around good people, good energy, even if that's virtually. And you can feel energy, through the, virtual. So just go into those good spaces. Those spaces, I like to say, that makes you feel warm and fuzzy, that makes you feel good and motivated about life. Like that's kind of the type of energy that you want, the type of spaces you want to be in. Sometimes you're feeling down, you need a good laugh, child. Go check out Tosh, Fifi. Listen, y'all know you're gonna get a good kiki from them. But if you need, the pick me up by your bootstraps, that talk to, rub your shoulders and get you back in the game, y'all know you got to come tap in with me, with your girl Chic, because I'm going to get you together, give you that hug, massage your shoulders and say, get back in the game, get back in the game. As long as we got breath in our lungs, we are still in the game. And guess what? That means we got another opportunity to get it right. We got another opportunity to get it right, including you, Vicky. You got another opportunity to get it right. That's why we got to keep sharing our stories, sharing our testimonies, taking care of ourselves and one another's, but make sure you take care of yourselves. You all make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you're following me also on my second channel, Chic Speaks on it. I'm getting better, so I'm going to start trying to put some more content out. I don't know which channel will be next, child. Y'all know I'm all over the place. That's why I get myself together. So make sure you're subscribed on both platforms so you'll be tapped in whenever I do decide to go live and just get into some conversations, some much needed conversations that I feel like we all can benefit from out here on this internet, because it's crazy out here in these streets and it's a lot of foolishness going on. But I feel like I at least can have a place to where we can have create an environment for us to have some meaningful conversations. And that's what it's about. I want you all to always be able to leave my lives with, something, a takeaway, something that'll just have you feeling better and ready to just tackle the world and just be a better version of yourself. Because at the end of the day, we're competing against ourselves, no one else. We are in competition with ourselves. Always remember that. It's just always about presenting the best version of you. The best version of you. The best version of you. So take care of yourselves and one another. And yeah, I'll catch you all in the next broadcast. Peace. Have a good night.